Good morning. Everybody's alive. It is amazing. I'm alive and everybody's alive. Okay, yeah, go on. I think maybe a chair or something. Chair. The chair?
Mama, please bless my mind and correct all mistakes. Okay, I usually start like this. So first of all, everyone has some kind of reason for listening to this, what they think they might hear. So right now, just check what is your reason. So some of the reasons are like mild curiosity or strong curiosity. And some are because you've had relatives who have died and wish you could have done something better. And some have friends who have cancer. And some want to help people in this way in the future. So these are good reasons, but this is not Dharma. So we know better now, having been here all these days. Our first motivation should be much bigger. So if we want to go to Paris, we probably have to travel through Toulouse. So we don't think, I'm going to Toulouse. We think, I'm going to Paris, and on the way I'll go through Toulouse. In the same way, we need to think, I must become enlightened for the sake of all my mother sentient beings. And that's why I'm going to listen, think, participate, ask questions, challenge, do all the things that you would be doing during this period for one reason, which takes care of all the other reasons, to become quickly enlightened. So try to cultivate that right now. So basically it comes down to two things. And that's true of all our activities in life, I think. And that is to avoid harm and to help others, to release them from suffering and to make them more happy. So, there's a difference, of course. And knowing that difference is where wisdom comes in. So like Rinpoche said a few nights ago, it really, really, really does depend upon one's wisdom, how much one can help. And that wisdom comes from knowing your mind. And I don't mean psychology, because of course psychology has lots of labels for different ways our mind reacts to things. But we know essentially why our mind reacts to things. And that's because of self-cherishing. And the self-cherishing is due to the wrong view. So of course, if we cultivate the correct view, then everything else falls into place, doesn't it? Because it corrects the delusions, it corrects the emotions, it corrects the ways we think and do and act and react. So this is very easy to talk to you because I think we're probably all Buddhists here. So, let's see where to begin. Yeah, so usually I say everybody look at their hand. Okay, look at your hand. Okay, tell me the nature of your hand, what the qualities of your hand. Well, anybody? They're scared. It's wrinkly. Well, that's not what I had in mind. Fleshy. Fleshy? Yeah. What else? Something about your hand. It's soft, yeah. Smooth, warm, yeah. Sorry? What can it do? Yeah. It can hold things, yeah. It can let go. It can drop things, right? It can express, it can move, it can bend, it's flexible. Touch, right? Okay. Sorry? Can type. Oh, he's been typing. Okay, so I think the mind's like this too. I think this is a way to remember your capability. Because it's warm and it can hold things, It can grasp. But like when your fist is closed, nothing can get in, hey? So when your mind is closed, nothing can get in. So when your hand is open, it can hold things like this. So when... Can I talk back here? You can still hear me? Okay. So when you have something in your hand and you're holding on it tight, and then you can't get it out, so you can't let it go. But when you let it go and you drop it, it just falls away. So your mind can do that too. And it's very, very important to remember that and to use your mind like that. So, how to... What do dying people need? In the organization that I look after in New Zealand, we look after the elderly and the terminally ill and the chronically ill too. So I think all these people, in fact, everybody needs these things. So one thing people need is honesty. They need you to be who you are and not who you should be. It's really not even who you are or what you do, or what you know even. You can know lots of things, but then, like Rinpoche said, you don't apply it. So it's really how you are. And people that are very close to death are very, very sensitive. They know exactly, who you are and how you are and what kind of being you are, and if they can trust you, they're like babies. You know how babies are. When you put them in somebody's arms, they kind of freak out. Well, human beings close to death are quite like that. They're very sensitive. They're on kind of another level already, moving away, moving inward. So they need you to be exactly how you are, however that is. However that is. I'll tell you a funny story. I went to interview a new patient, and she was a very well-to-do woman in a very expensive house. And her husband met me at the door, and immediately showed me up to her room, and then offered me tea, of course. And tea came, on a nice, beautiful tray on nice, beautiful linen, with beautiful cups and saucers, and then some biscuits on the side. You know what biscuits are? There's round cookie things on the side. So, right. So I was kind of hungry that day. So I took the biscuit and the tea, and I dunked the biscuit in the tea, which is not what you do in polite company, actually. Especially English, This is a very English house. So I dunked the biscuit in the tea. And I dunked it too long because I wasn't paying attention. And so when I picked it up, it fell into the tea. And all the tea went all over the place, It went on me, and it was on the cup and on the tray, and it's like a mess, And she goes like this, like really shocked. And, and she said, well, you'll just have to go and clean up, dear. And so she shooed me off, and I went into the bathroom and, cleaned myself off a little bit, So I came back. And when I came back, I just treated it like, nothing happened, And she just dropped her reaction completely as well. And just started immediately to tell me her deepest problem and deepest worry. It completely opened everything up. Just being, whatever, Just being a fool, I guess, or silly, It's okay. So, it's really how you are. So you can be yourself, So again, how we are, of course, is, by becoming better and better, So that's important too. So understanding. The problem, I think, really comes to how much of a self we have, the concept of self. Because let's just do this little exercise for a moment. When you think of when you've suffered the most, like when we have an argument with somebody, how much that is just so messy and ugly and disturbing and hurtful. Just think of having your last argument with somebody. What was it like? So how big was the sense of I then? Okay. Now on the other side, think of when we rejoice, when you see somebody doing some Dharma practice and you think, oh, how neat, how wonderful, how great. I walked around the side of the building the other day and I saw somebody saying some mantra over a little bug. And I thought, oh, how nice. And immediately I just felt so high and happy. So think, just like when you rejoice, think how you feel. Just think of the last time you rejoiced. Well, just think of everybody here. It's so fantastic. I'm so shocked, so many people here. You feel, wow. Like Rinpoche said when he came in, we're all alive. Wow. So, where's the sense of I then? When you have that experience, wow. Where is the I? It's like, I don't know, I don't see any I when you have that experience. So how amazing, When we're not thinking about I, when we don't have the sense of I, we don't have suffering. Probably we do, but I don't know about that. So, you'll have all pervasive suffering. But anyway, we don't have a sense of suffering. So it's very easy correlation, isn't it? The greater the sense of I, the more the suffering. Wow. That's really something. That's really significant. Because I saw that a lot with mentally ill patients, They have a huge sense of I. Their whole world is just I. I am miserable. It's all about I. And so they're the most miserable people because they're totally involved in self and nothing exists apart from themselves. So we look at, why is that? Maybe because I is like the wrong thing to think. I is totally, totally wrong. Totally from wrong view. Total fantasy. So we hold on to the worst possible wrong view, and the stronger we hold that, of course the more we suffer. So, when you can let go of yourself, you can actually almost be the other person. Then you put yourself in the other person's place. And you can understand or have some understanding. In the work that we do in New Zealand, it's very, very many cultures, So many different cultures. We have the Polynesian culture, we have the Chinese culture, we have the Indian culture, we have the English culture. We have, Europeans coming in that are immigrating. And we have all different ages, And so when our volunteers go out, they might go into somebody's home that they would never normally even talk to. And sometimes you see very shocking things. People who live like you would never believe. I can remember as a nurse having to take a woman's blood pressure and walking into this house, and she had saved everything all her life, even old newspapers, even dead pot plants. And you could only walk through a little narrow way like this. Everything was stacked up in the house, And you think, what do I have in common with this person? This is so outrageous. But of course, we have everything in common with this person. We're exactly identical. We just have a little teeny bit more information. Dharma. So I think that's the difference, They don't have so much information and we do. So also, then you think, oh my goodness, I must use this information I have. Again, it reminds you, I must practice. I must make my life worthwhile, meaningful. So understanding is really about, yes, I identify with you. It's really about equanimity. It's really about that meditation we did the other night about, that Renee led so fantastically about, the person next to you wants to be happy. This person, everybody wants to be happy. And I think everybody's doing their best trying to get the happiness. They're not going to do less than their best, are they? They want happiness, definitely. But we don't have the same information, unfortunately. When we look at our parents, so kind they were. They gave us education, they look after us when they're sick. They give us money. Or they don't give us money, so we have to work for it and learn what it's about. But they don't have the same fortune that we have. So again, that rises some compassion in our hearts. So compassion really comes first from understanding equanimity, I believe. How we're the same. Otherwise, it's more like pity. Oh, yeah, poor thing, they don't know, silly person, oh, yeah, poor thing, Then you're like high, and the other person's down here, I don't believe that's compassion. So I think compassion really comes from understanding. from some kind of appreciation. So, Rinpoche made 3 points about the dying. They need renunciation. You know, we have a word in the West we call letting go. So, in order to let go, which they have to let go, I mean, we all have to let go. Look at it. You know, we might think this is great. You know, I have a great life, but we're going to have to let it go sooner or later. Maybe sooner than we want. Definitely sooner than you want. You know, even people with cancer who are dying, on the day they die, they still think they're going to live. You know, even 12 hours before they die, they still want chemotherapy. So many people. Nobody hardly ever thinks they're going to die when they actually die. Hardly ever. So how do they get this freedom to go, to let go? Well, I think we can help them have some freedom. And really it means supporting the family. Because there's not like one person by themselves here that's dying. You know, there are other people involved. And everybody is important. And everybody works to make what happens, happens. Because it's all so incredibly interdependent. So they can let go maybe if they have some permission from their family to let go, to go away, you know, to leave. So have they talked with their family or the family talk with them? That things are going to be okay, that they've made other arrangements and, you know, like a woman whose husband's done everything. All the bookkeeping, all the money, changed the oil in the car. What does she do now? You know, how does she cope with those things? So what kind of arrangements have been made to look after the things that her husband did when she's gone? When he's gone, sorry. So there's a lot, maybe some help in discussion with the family members. You know, what's going to happen after the loved one is gone. And encouraging people to talk together, you know. Not saying, oh, you should talk to him, you know. Not shooting on people, but, you know, suggesting, well, have you talked to somebody? I remember one time I was district nursing, and I walked out of this house, and you always have the most important conversations when you're going to your car. You know, so the woman whose husband was dying followed me to the car, and he wasn't that well that night. You know, he looked bad, and she was very anxious. So she followed me to the car, and she said, "I don't think he's very well." And I said, "No, I don't think he's very well either. I don't think he has long, actually." And she said, "But he's very disturbed." And I said, "Yeah, I think he's afraid of dying." And she said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, I really think he is." And she says, "Oh," and I said, "Have you talked to him about it?" And she said, no, we never talk about him dying." And of course, he was dying. So I said, "I think it's a good idea for you to talk about it, what you both think about. What are your ideas about death?" And she said, "Oh, okay, I'll try." And so she did. The next night, he's still alive, and I came back, and he was much more settled. He was really quite settled. And I asked her, "Did you talk to him about dying?" And she said, "Oh, yes, we did. We had a very good conversation." So sometimes it's just facilitating the family members actually conversing with each other. Sometimes that helps unbelievably well. You know, sometimes at the death time or when people are dying, there's the person who, the survivor, has nothing know what to do. And I can remember this time that I was night nursing this man. I think he was Catholic, and they were Chinese. And he had, I think, lung cancer. Anyway, he couldn't breathe hardly well at all. It was terrible. And I gave him some morphine, I think, and that didn't help. And so this was like on and on. He couldn't breathe, and he was tossing and turning. And, of course, he couldn't talk either. He was, semi-comatose or comatose, really. And his wife was sleeping in the same room, and she was very upset and unhappy. And I said to her, I think what he needs to hear is that I think dying people really have two great delusions that come up, and that's fear and attachment. I think they have great fear of death. I think everybody I've ever seen die has fear. Great fear of death and great attachment. Fear of what's going to happen to me after this. They don't know, they don't remember, so it's like going into the great unknown. Oh my God, it's just scary. And then attachment, because they don't really want to go. They don't really, this is what they know, this is what's safe, this is what's they've known all their lives. Why leave, So I think it's fear and attachment, really. So I said to her, I think he has a lot of fear, and I'd like to suggest that he might also have guilt. Catholics have a lot of guilt. So take this break. So the guilt, how to deal with guilt, I'll talk about it a little bit later. But the guilt, I said to her, I think he might need to hear that he was a good husband and a good father and a good provider. And you really appreciate that from him. And then I said, also I think maybe if you know some prayer, you could say, because if he hears the prayer, he might feel, well, this is refuge, in our language, but, he would feel comfort and confident and have faith. So I said this to her, and so she, in Chinese, I don't know Chinese at all, so she said something to him. For about a half an hour, she talked to him. And he calmed down. His breathing just settled. Boom, 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 boom. Much better than drugs, let me tell you. So his breathing settled, and then she started to chant. And it was the most beautiful chant. And all I could hear was Jesu. So it was something about Jesus. Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. And she just this one line over and over and over again. And she chanted for 2 hours. And he went to sleep. And just breathing, just normally, completely normally, like he had no cancer at all. So, very helpful, I think, to remove the upset mind. So sometimes if people are awake and talking, we'll go back to a more earlier stage of dying, they might need help with some unfinished business, something that they wish they had done, wish they had said, And often the person who is not related is the most helpful, because you're not part of the family politics. So they feel comfortable to tell you what's on their mind without it getting back to so-and-so or causing further disruption in the family. So sometimes that's physical. They might want to complete some project. Often people want to do something meaningful with the last few months. They want to give money to charity, or they want to, I don't know, finish I had one woman who just wanted to make these little art objects for each of her family members, and her hands were too weak. She couldn't cut the paper to make it, so everybody who came helped her cut it out, and then she pasted it on this. So all her children got this little piece of art. So something practical sometimes, it's very helpful. Makes the mind happy, and they can do something for somebody else in a practical way. And sometimes it's mental, like if you have regret about something. I think regret is really, really useful because we can identify that it's something learned. When you have regret, that means we've learned that this behavior is wrong or caused harm. So the same way, when a person has regret, like even a man who left his family, I left my children when they were, babies, and I left my wife and went off with another woman, has terrible regret. So what to say to him? Well, now he learned that caused so much pain and harm, and if he has another chance, he must make the decision never to do that again. So he makes it in his mind, he thinks, I mustn't do that again, So maybe that propensity, that from that one thought, will continue in some future life. I think so. So also they need to make some sense of this. Why am I alive? Why am I dying? And this has to be handled very delicately, because the last thing people need is to be rescued with somebody else's religion. What I mean by that is that you can't come and try to convert somebody on their deathbed. Like better. So this is what you should think and do and say. But you can be you need to be very skillful, and working with what they believe. What kind of reality, what kind of truth do they hold already? And I think Christians, of course, hold the truth of what Jesus taught is love. To love one another as yourself. So, a woman who's dying and she's just raised a family, she hasn't done anything important with her life, she thinks. But she's raised these 3 children. And how amazing, how wonderful that is. Because now those children can go off in the world and do their thing and help others. And how much she helped them needs to be celebrated and appreciated. And that we can remind them. This is very fantastic, that you raise 3 children and help people like this. So, also how to get freedom is really to die without regrets. So everybody has regrets, So learning that the regret is good, because now we've learned something, and now we can make it some kind of aspiration to do better. And maybe we can have some kind of significant thing that we can do to make that more firm in the mind. For instance, you might suggest, maybe you could write a letter to, so-and-so. Even if they've died, you could write this letter to let it go, to be able to let go that feeling of, I wish I had done this, I wish I hadn't done that. Or maybe you would like to make a donation to something, the SPCA or the local Buddhist group. So something that they would feel good about. Something they could say, oh, well, I've done this, so now I feel like I can let that go. I can forgive myself. So everybody really wants to be the best they can be, really. I mean, really we do. People really all have a good heart inside. I think Rabina probably would say, even the worst criminals have good hearts inside. Amazing. So we all have a good heart inside. So people can get in touch with that good heart. And I remember Sogyal Rinpoche used to say that just by your attitude, just by your character, you can change the whole atmosphere of a room. And atmosphere really makes everything conducive, makes meditation already happen, makes it happen, So the atmosphere that we have, like I said in the beginning, how you are, coming in. So if you come in to when you visit your friends or your who's sick, and you're full of la 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 because you've just driven on the highway at 60 k's an hour, 100 k's an hour, or you've just come from a meeting, and you've got to visit your mom because she asked you, and she's been asking you for 5 days, and you feel like, oh God, I've got so many other things to do, but I have to go. Well, that's not going to work, is it? That attitude. Because your body will not show. Your body will show exactly what your mind is. So we have to change our minds, otherwise it's hopeless. We change our mind and then we can present ourselves. Then we can be there for the other person. So one of the things actually that really inspired me in the beginning when I met Tibetan Lamas was that how, they can be... I remember Karma Tinley Rinpoche, he would just be saying his mantras all the time. And as soon as you walk in to see him, he'd stop saying his mantra and he'd be totally focused on you. I mean, Rinpoche's like that. I can remember when Rinpoche, I think the 92 course, and everybody's lined up with kattas. And there were some dogs, and everybody had a katta. And he spent the exact same time with every single person and every single dog.
No idea.
So it's really about, focusing, and being and being there, not as this I, but as that rejoiced mind. That empty of self. Empty of self we can get by totally focusing on the other person. Concerned about the other person, there's less I at least, So there's more possibility to actually be of benefit. So also people need acceptance. We often think that, why does she have to act like that, And when you think that those words, why does he have to act like that? I mean, look where that's coming from. It's coming from a huge sense of I. I'm like this, so why, they're not like this. So judgmental. So if people feel that they're not being judged, then they will feel safe to express their own feelings and emotions. And their feelings and emotions are the same feelings and emotions that we have. No difference. So we all have moods and mood swings, and we go up and down. And so do our parents go up and down, and our friends go up and down. So we can remember that all these emotions are transitory. We're not looking at the real person here. We're just looking at the emotion. The real person.
Sorry.
The real person has Buddha nature. You know. The real person is not these emotions, not this yelling at you, dear, why don't you do it this way, dear? You know, not that. So if we remember when somebody's yelling at us, or my parents say, why are you wearing your hair like that, dear? You know, or why don't you come over more often? Or as soon as you get in the house, you know, something else. Or always complaining. Or, you know, people we know are just so miserable. Not to judge them by how they appear and how they act, but to remember that they have, you know, the same mind that we have, but they have so much suffering, so much problem, so much delusion, holding the I so strongly. So if you can let go this maybe aversion that we've built up, you know, maybe over so many years with our parents, so much aversion to the way they act, if you can let that go, then you can definitely help them. So, somebody mentioned respect. Respect is so important. So respect has to come from somewhere. It comes from, of course, thinking that that person is the same as me. So even though the person might live, you know, like they never wash, or they never do the dishes, or they, you know, their lawn is up like this, you know, or they don't change their clothes from week to week, just still, you know, what's different? The mind, the way they behave, the mind. Our minds are the same. So people need to feel that they're special and not a failure. You know, in the New Age culture, when somebody got cancer, then they had done something bad, and then they can, you know, they have a grudge against somebody, and that's why they have cancer. Or you should be able to cure yourself of cancer by just thinking these thoughts. And, you know, it's just a little bit true, but a lot of judgmentalness. So yes, you know, of course, positive mind can cure cancer. So how do you get a positive mind? You know, when you feel guilty, or when you feel like you're a failure. So again, it comes to appreciation what they know as positive. What is positive? Even a person who's lying there thinking, you know, well, everybody has to look after me and I'm just useless lying here. I'm not doing anything for anybody. And so many women feel this actually because they spent their whole life looking after the family, and then when they're in the bed, they feel terrible. So what we can do is remind them of how much they've given to others. And this is a time that people can actually repay the kindness back to the mother. Now your daughter can help you as you helped your daughter so many times with her new baby and all that. This is a way of them being able to show you how much they appreciate you. And also, the dying person can inspire the family so much. How they cope with pain, how they cope with change, how they, you know, the whole body changes. You know, we spend so much time making sure our hair looks like this, or we're wearing the right clothes. But when when you're sick and dying, your whole body changes. I mean, you don't recognize yourself. And it's terrible not to recognize yourself, especially when you've been holding the self for so many years, 80 years, 70 years, 50 years, 30 years, as this is the way I am, this is who I am, myself, how I look. So how do they let go of that? It's so terrible. So much suffering when the body changes, when they get so skinny, or when they swell up like pretas. It's amazing. People with liver cancer, the abdomen swells up just like a preta, and they can't swallow anything just like a preta. Everything they swallow is. When people have chemotherapy, it destroys all the fast-growing cells, and that lines your mouth and esophagus and all your digestive system. So everything burns all the way down. So encouraging and acknowledging their courage, how amazing. You're so courageous to put up with so much. And talk about this with the family members, because it's very exhausting looking after somebody 24 hours a day. Amazingly exhausting, And on top of the actual physical work of looking after somebody is also the emotional stress. So you might think, why doesn't my mother do this with Dad? But she has so much to cope with. Her husband of, 40, 50 years is dying. So they need appreciation, and that goes back to rejoicing. Rejoicing is the great, panacea, instant panacea, I think. It's instant good medicine. Finding something to rejoice about. Often when you go and visit people and they have, especially people who live alone, I think they make a big deal over small things because they don't have so much extra stimulation, so anything that happens in their life is a big deal. And that goes for all ages, actually, not just the elderly. So when you go and talk with people and they say, oh, my this hurts and my that hurts and I don't get enough money from the government and and the politics of the country are like this, and it's like, and the whole conversation goes all the way down to the dumps. And like, if you keep going that way, that's not going to make them any better or happier, is it? It's terrible. So at some stage, I believe we have to hear people, because often, elderly people can repeat the same thing over and over and over. And you heard this story 50 times. Why do they keep repeating the same thing? There's a message behind that story. And it's looking behind... Sorry? One of my moms. What was I going to say? So they repeat the same story. Yeah, the message behind the story. Why they repeat that story is there's something they want to get off their chest. And really, listening is about listening behind the words. Don't just fixate on the words. Oh, I heard this a million times. You're just going to repeat the whole thing. Yeah. That's not going to get you or anybody anywhere. We have to listen behind the words. What's really being said? And that again means letting go of this immediate judgmental thing, immediate I know what's going on here. You don't know. In fact, I'd say every time we see somebody, we should have the attitude, I don't know. Because every time is different. We might live with somebody for, I've lived with my husband for 30 years. But Not that I do this, really, but this is what should be done. Is think, I don't know, you know? And then I think the I don't know is more open, you think? Maybe something else is happening. If we think, I don't know, what's going on here? Then you're open to any possibility. So why did I get back to this? Okay, rejoicing, yeah. So the conversation's gone down to the bottom down there, right? So along the way, maybe you heard something that you can think, oh, but, you know, that's right. Listening and acknowledging what's said. Okay, so just not just saying, yeah, I heard all this before. And then you think, okay, now I've got to turn the conversation around. You know, like that's not it either, okay? But acknowledging, repeating back to them and say, what I heard you say is, and you repeat back what you think they are trying to communicate to you. The message behind the words. So then they think, then they can say, oh no, that's not right. And they can correct your understanding of it. Or they can say, well, that's right, dear. You know? You got it. And then the conversation takes another turn. You know? So there might be something that was said after you acknowledge. So listen, and then acknowledge, and then focus on the positive. So in conversations, I mean, we can do this with our friends. We shouldn't wait until we get this opportunity with a dying person. You know, this is something we can use with everybody. Hopefully, with everybody. Listen to people without judgment. Then acknowledge what they say from your understanding. This is what I heard. Is this what you're trying to say? You know, especially somebody's having an argument with you. And then focus on the positive. So was there something positive that you can take from that, from anything in that conversation? You know, oh, the government doesn't give me enough money and la 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 la. Well, maybe. But how, I guess we have to be grateful for the taxpayers then. You know, at least we have some money coming from somewhere. It's good that some people are working so that we have some money for some social services. You know, something that you can think of just to turn the mind around. The mind's already going down. Turn it around. But you first have to acknowledge their pain and their suffering and their negative mind, you know. Acknowledge that, but don't go into it. It's like when the distracting thought comes and you think, oh yeah, that's nice, and you're going away, you know, and you're out the tent already, you know. You know. So don't, you know, let that carry on, that negative mind carry on. Just acknowledge it, appreciate it. This is what I think you're saying. I understand, I hear, I appreciate it. And then focus on something positive. So, and by respect, focusing on what they did well in their life. You know, everybody's done something good. Everybody's done something good. What have they done good? And again, you can rejoice and get people to rejoice about that. One of the things in the hospice movement that they encourage is reminiscing. And I think, well, what's a good point about reminiscing, you know, really? You know, I looked at that and I thought, you know, well, big deal, you know, reminiscing. But reminiscing, remembering, I did this when I was like this, and I did that, and, you know, thinking about the past. Okay. So I didn't know why that was so useful. But then I think it's useful if people can remember the good things they did. and they can rejoice, think, yeah, I did this and I did that, and and feel good about it. It lifts the heart. And so, most people don't believe in reincarnation, which is sad. But maybe you can think something like, well, if we ever get another chance, let's do it again. I mean, you can just, why not? People love to fantasize. You can think, well, if I ever get another life, and people love to joke about that. If I ever get another life, yeah, let's see, you set a positive propensity for the next life. So I think it's all about propensities. Either you have a propensity to the hell realms or a propensity to the Pure Land. We want the propensity to the Pure Land, right? So, God, I haven't got very far in this, have I? Okay. So, and also people need to feel loved. And I think that will come from our hearts, our openness, our caring, our honesty, our appreciation. And laughter really opens people up. Laughter really, like that woman, when she was actually kind of laughing at me, how silly this girl is. But it opened her up. And so sharing some laughter really, it opens up the heart, and it opens up the mind, and it lets go of all the kind of heavy oh, this is so serious, So it makes your heart light and free. So humor is very useful. But wise humor, not belittling somebody, but you can find things that are funny. I remember Lama Yeshe giving this talk, I think in Bendigo. It was a very serious place. But, and there was a lot of people, maybe 300 people or something, and they're all serious kind of farmer type people, and so, but he made people laugh, and everybody laughed really, really hard. I mean, I laughed so hard I almost fell off my seat, And he made people laugh, and then everybody was like relaxed, so relaxed. They didn't notice what he did next, and he just said bang and gave them a really big, strong truth, and they went, wow, how did that get in my heart? He was totally open. He blew everybody away because, they weren't prepared. Okay. So, also touch. Touch is appropriate when it's appropriate. In some cultures it's not appropriate. We can be soft and feely and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes it's not appropriate because people have their own sense of distance. But I think in this culture, probably Europe is even more touchy-feely. Women hold hands and men hold hands, and it's okay to touch each other. So touch really is amazing. A lot can be communicated in touch, as long as your vibration is good. Not if you're going ee. So if your vibration's coming from your heart, again, you're caring, you touch, then it's completely flows out, And they feel that, especially if people are no longer talking. Remember, they're very, very sensitive. So your touch is really important, how you touch, how you hold. Just holding the hand. And so much is communicated from heart, mind to, We don't realize really how much of our mind communicates to another person. We think it's just all words, actually. But actually there have been scientific tests that say that I think it's 7% that what we communicate is by speech, and the rest is body language. And of course they don't acknowledge what's going on in the mind. But I'll give you an example. This is what we've all had this experience. So wild, it always blows me away. You're sitting at the traffic lights, and you're staring at this person in the car next to you. And then they turn around and stare at you. Why does that happen? They can feel you staring at them, can't they? We can feel people staring at us, even if they're like behind us or something. So there's a lot that's communicated that we don't appreciate. So we can communicate mind to mind with somebody who's no longer talking. And that's very, very powerful. Can you imagine how powerful that is when you're in a room with people who are all Christian? How you can communicate to that person without having to say any Buddhist words, which might offend the family. So eye contact, how much, who was that famous person? I'm not that cultured, but to remember, the eyes are the window of the soul. Yeah, the eyes are the windows. How much we read somebody by looking at their eyes. So we can bond with somebody by eye contact, by touch, by laughter. And this bonding with people, it becomes like a oneness. Like you're one with the person. Like there's no separation. And that's an amazing moment. It's so amazing. It's like universal oneness with somebody. And I think they experience it the same, because it's a oneness, You feel completely confident, completely comfortable, completely safe, completely free, completely open.
Excuse me. Yeah, what is mentioned about touch? His Holiness mentioned in the, I think maybe Los Angeles, New York or Los Angeles, whatever time. So one guy who's very, very angry person came. He was very, very angry. Maybe a young guy, very, very angry. Somehow he got an interview. So as soon as he explained all the best logics, all the best that what he normally teach the patients, to overcome anger. The patient, best thing what he could think of, he explained, but nothing changed his mind. Only before he leaves, then he patted him. He patted. Only then changed his mind. Only then calmed down his mind. Only by, of course, blessing, for sure. The words, he used his best, what he can think of, the normal, the usual teachings about practicing patience, that. But did nothing change his mind. Only the last minute, the patting, then totally moved his mind, totally changed. So I thought maybe, it's true what is but the comments from our experiences. Let's go.
Thanks. So, I think illness produces an awareness of death. When we get ill, we think, oh, now I might die, or gosh, it might get worse, or what's going on here? Then we really think about death, right? So that really raises some issues to work with. And these three issues, I think, are common for ourselves and others. And that's, one is how much we've harmed others. And again, we think, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. people who are dying also think, I wish I hadn't done this, I wish I hadn't done that. And like I said before, we should consider regret as growth. Regret is really important, but it's actually growth. We've actually learned something. So again, encouraging that, an appreciation for what they've learned. Encourage that. That kind of should be planted on the mind stream. That's the good thing to know from this experience. That now we've learned something. And the second point is how much we've loved other people. Remind them of what they've given others. And others' love is reflected in the love for others have for them, People looking after them, well, if nobody loved them, they wouldn't look after them. And the third one is how much we can let go. And again, by offering acceptance and support and validation and love, people can let go then. Because they don't think they're the worst persons in the world. So, listening and sharing, how keeping a non-judgmental attitude, allowing people to express their own meaning of life. Everybody has a philosophy of life, actually. They might never have thought of it, or because they never had time, or they've always been so involved with the outside world, making a living, doing things, not thinking about what's really happening. But actually, I guess when I first got involved with hospice in '86, what really appealed to me was that you had such meaningful and deep conversations with people that you didn't even know. And, we have all this small talk all the time, and it's just dribble. But it's amazing what's underneath in people's hearts, what's really going on. And actually they really enjoy having talks that are something important. It really is important to people, the meaning of life. And actually my sons, I have 2 sons and they're both monks. And when they were teenagers, my husband's Kagyu, and when they were teenagers, they loved to talk to William because he always had such, deep and meaningful conversations with them. And I think children love to talk to adults about important stuff, something that's important in their hearts. Maybe if we talked and listened to them more, we might not have so many, confrontations. So people all have their own meaning, and I think from our wisdom, whatever wisdom we have, we can see and correlate their wisdom. They have some wisdom. Everybody has the idea that not to harm. Everybody has that idea. It's a very Christian principle, not harming people, not harming. So, again, identifying that, helping others. Jesus helped others his whole teaching life, and so many saints, So, acknowledging what is positive in their philosophy, but not trying to convert them, not trying to say, oh, well, you're going to have another rebirth, and if you don't, say these mantras, you're going to be in the hell realm, Please don't do that. Hope that's okay. But, I don't think it...
If I was there, I would do that. The first thing, the first word, the first introduction, hell realm.
I think he can get away with it. right for some people. So I think it helps people to encourage them to be the best they can be, really, with their wisdom, to celebrate their wisdom. Because it's all coming from Buddha nature, after all. Okay, offering, I'm just reviewing now, unconditional love, compassion, and atmosphere of trust. Remembering the dying person is just like you, wants happiness, wants to avoid suffering, trying to be wise in our speech, not taking sides in families. When there's one teaching, I think that at least the Chinese culture do this. When there's when somebody's just died, they don't express emotional crying, over the body, because of course, the dying person's really still there, and they feel the vibration of all the upset, and then they get more attachment. So this is good if you can arrange it before the death. That, okay, if anybody gets upset, we'll go out of the room, or, probably doesn't even help to go out of the room, but, because they're probably flying around somewhere or whatever. But, at least we won't be near the body and showing a lot of emotion. But if you walk into a situation like, your mother's just died and your family's already there and you're just come, and everybody's crying and everything, I don't think it's a good idea to say, okay, don't cry, I think if you cause more disharmony and more upset with everybody's mind, then I think it's worse. So I think go with the flow and try to keep the peace, and comfort people. When people are comforted, they usually stop crying. And also being able to talk to the dying person. Often people don't say anything, The body's lying there and they don't say anything. They're just kind of like in shock. It's amazing. It actually is amazing shock after somebody dies. You just can't believe it. I mean, you've been looking after this person for months and months and months. I saw it in myself. I saw it in, all the people that I've seen die. The family member just still is shocked. They actually died. They're actually not breathing. That really teaches how much reality we have about death. We think, it's going to happen, but we really don't think it's going to happen, So there is a shock there. And actually, clinically and psychologically, who are psychologists here will know this, that's the first thing that happens is shock, disbelief, the first experience of this guilt thing. Grief is shock. That's because we have so strongly believe in permanence. So strongly that when it happens, we can't believe it. So why did I get into that? Oh yeah, I was speaking. Yeah, I was speaking to the body. Yeah, so I think it's okay to talk, and people can encourage them to say goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you very much. You've been a great dad, and I'll see you again. Actually, I have some things that I don't know where I got this from, but I have a simple practice for the dead that I think is appropriate for Christians or people of any spirituality. And I'm sure they can correct this if it's way out of line. So I think to visualize God or Buddha or whoever on the top of their head of the deceased. And I did this with my brothers, because I tried to do some poa, but I don't know anything about poa, but I tried, and I encourage my brothers to do this too. And they're not Buddhists. I don't know what they are. They were raised Catholic, but I don't know what they are now. So visualize God on top of the head of the deceased, and while saying out loudly or silently to the deceased, "Now you've died. You will leave your body, and your work here is finished. There is nothing you can take with you. Let go of everything, including all your regrets. And be your true self, a being of light and love." I use the word light because I think light, it doesn't have any form, Light is like nice, like, ooh, light. So light. Light and love for all those who you have known. So again, it's like generating love. They can't generate bodhicitta because bodhicitta means they want to be enlightened, so they don't know anything about that. So generating love for all those you've known and all those you don't know. So that's all beings. So, people often think, I wish the whole world was peaceful. So they're capable of thinking that, even though they're not Buddhist. We're all, people generally are capable of wishing peace for the world. We often hear that in songs and everything, demonstrations, for heaven's sakes. So everybody has that inside them because they have Buddha nature. So we're all capable of thinking that, so why not now? So now I say, now you can learn everything you need. So to very intellectual people who are calling themselves agnostics or atheists, this is what my father was, I said this to him, "Dad, now you're going to experience everything you always wanted to know." So they get some kind of, cool, great. I hope, but it should work, I think, with those kind of people, intellectual people who just want to learn whatever the truth is. Generate supreme faith and devotion in your refuge. So you can use other words, God will look after you. God always loves even the worst, of His children. And wish to be unified with your divine source, your God, your spiritual master, the Dharmakaya, Amitabha Buddha, whoever it is. Wish to be unified, wish to be one with this. Have supreme faith, believe this exactly will look after me. God will protect me. I put my hand and soul and everything, my mind in God's mind. And then the caregiver should visualize the dead person's consciousness as this being of light, and with a very strong wish to unite their heart, their love, to their refuge. And the caregiver visualizes that this goes straight from the dead person's heart and ejects out the top of their head into the heart of their refuge. And they experience the mind of God, the mind of Buddha, or the mind of infinite peace, or infinite peace, whatever is their refuge. And then, depending on the caregiver's understanding and beliefs, he or she meditates in that peaceful atmosphere. So you put your mind in the mind of your guru, the mind of Buddha. And this can be done even after the body has been dead for some hours, because there still might be heat in the body. But it's best done, of course, before, like Rinpoche said last night, before the body is cold. So in the days and weeks, I'm not sure if Rinpoche mentioned it, I might have missed, but in the days and weeks following death, especially for the first 49 days, one can help the dead person's mind by avoiding harming others, generating love and compassion, doing kind actions. So these are kind of things that you can encourage the family to do. Oh, let's do this. Let's, give Dad's clothes away to the Salvation Army. Let's do this and that. Making charity, making specific prayers and practices that, your teacher recommends. And dedicating that positive energy to the mind of the deceased, and wishing only peace and happiness and a better rebirth for them. So when we talk to the family, we can say, well, for this period of time, you can admit, you can say, well, in my belief system, for the 49-day period is really important. So, I would like to, celebrate his life by, doing something really, really nice for somebody, or, saving animals, or, I don't know, just all kinds of things that we do in the West that are, good actions. So we can think that, oh, we're doing this for the person who's died. So for the family members think, oh, I'm doing this, I'm celebrating my loved one in this way. It makes it really nice, really something they feel good about. So even the family members don't have so much suffering by encouraging them to do some positive action. And then, of course, there's prayers and practices that are specific, and that can be specifically recommended. But if we have somebody that's close to us that's died, we can really use that for the rest of our lives. And everything that we do, we can dedicate for them. Everything that my parents died, and I try to remember them, because if I didn't have those parents, then I wouldn't have a perfect human rebirth. So everything that I owe so much to them. So I was very fortunate. I know I've talked to some people that didn't have such wonderful parents, but they still, you still know how to wipe your bottom. and you only learn that from your parents. So we still know how to talk, do other things, the ordinary survival type things. Do their kindness. So, there's other things to say about looking after yourself, and I could say things about looking after yourself, but maybe people have questions first. Rinpoche, would you like to say something?
Yeah, so to provide the time to provide that I've seen the people dying in front of me, but they as you saw in the Lamdung teachings, the person who died with the virtuous thoughts, first feet start get cold, very very cold, and then but the person who died with non-virtuous thoughts, their head started to become cold, so that so this person I think might be feet probably. But it started to become cold, and you feel. I think everybody is not the same, but this person, the whole body is like I feel like log of tree, piece of trees in the bed, just piece of tree, big trees, log, already built, so concrete, you see, like that. So you feel exactly, the touching, feel like piece of heavy wood, log wood on the bed, like that. So anyway, the heat is the heart. On the after, yeah, yeah, breath. So anyway, right after breath is stopped. Right after breath stopped. Then kind of power. That that the actual diet. That's the that not by disease or anything. See, so that's. But I think some Lama mentioned even after the heat, the last thing is the heat at the heart. So even after the stop, that I think maybe some one Lama, but I think generally, I think after the breath stops, then do the power, I think like that. Yeah. Definitely that what is mentioned for people who believe in God and so who many other religions they use the term God as an object of refuge. So as I mentioned that at night, feeling maybe not easy. The give meditation to the person that he or her mind is God, holy mind of God. I think the great compassion, or loving kindness to all beings who have like that. Or you can say fully awakened mind or something. That total understanding of so maintaining oneness. So similar. Then doing power, using the power meditation is similar way. I say let the person to think, God above us and crown. So yeah, because then that helps consciousness to go through the crown. See, then that helps. See. There's 9 doors. The body's 9 doors where consciousness can go from. So the most difficult one is consciousness to go through the center crown. That's most, and then so normally formless realm or the pure land. So anyway, however, so that's the most difficult one. The consciousness to go through that. So so visualizing on the crown. So anyway, most I think the most important thing that is thinking of that quality of the God. So yeah. So as I mentioned that nature say, who has so loving kindness to all or compassion, who has perfected peace, perfected bliss. Is not the meaning of enlightenment. Tibetan is yang thangpa zog, yang thangpa zogbe, complete or sang ye, sang is eliminated, sang is eliminated, and ye is fully developed. So ye is fully developed. So complete bliss. It's just another way of presenting. It's that's sampling also in the meaning. Also, meaning of Sangye is there's different words even Tibet. You see, even one can with the different labels you can, explain. So it's same. It's not contradictory. So, who actually complete bliss. So which actually they describing the meaning of Buddha there without, by using the title God. See? So actually, the person is what's meditating is actually Buddha. When you think of quality, for example, in Sarnath, I went to Hindu temples, I did prostration. But I don't, but what I do is, by thinking that, it makes harmonious, religious. It makes like Hindus happy. So I did prostration in the Hindu temple. Normally Buddhists don't do. You see, normally you can't prostrate because it breaks the object of refuge. They say, refuge vow. You say relying on other than Buddha. Do you see, they wish a wrong path. You see, against Buddha, because like the doctors, there's that doctor who gives right medicine to you, and who you see wrong diagnosis, and the doctor who understands you, your right diagnosis and gives you right medicine. So you can, if you do both, the right doctor cannot help you. So it's generally like that. But here, what I did was I prostrate. But what I think is, that by thinking Buddha, by thinking qualities of Buddha, you see, there is no contradiction in that. You see, by thinking qualities of the Buddha, then however, thinking whatever one thinks, you see, Buddha, whatever aspect of Buddha you think, so then prostrate, you see. So, yeah. So, and other person, if you explain to the other person the qualities, the other person won't say, no, it doesn't have these good qualities. You're praising it, so you're not putting it down. So like that. So it makes everybody happy. So see, that. It's well, I think as it's mentioned that family member, rather the family member living life sad, depressed, or I didn't, feeling guilty that I didn't get to look after, that I didn't serve well, or that I didn't do well, didn't take care well, all these things after the person died, feeling like this, or you see, blaming on oneself, kind of like that. You see, I mean, there are many different things. See, I think some might be angry. Why this person left me? Why this person left me alone? Just say angry. So, kind of like this. It seems like this person has freedom, total freedom. And, total freedom, live or die. You see, and then we purposely left this person. Its expression talks like that. So there are all kinds of state situations. So I guess this person, you see, why? Because this person is the only thing that you have in the life. You see, he or she, this is the only person you have in their life. I mean, say, object of refuge. I mean, the whole thing your life depends on to. You see, that you express or have that you spend your life with and do things together. You know, I think there's no. I guess in the heart there's no other object of refuge. But I think not even God, you know, not even God. So only this person is in your life, no one else in this world. So that's everything. That's your everything. That this person is your everything. You see, they rely. So and live together. Also live together for many years. So like that. And then this person, either suddenly or gradually, this is the sickness passed. So however, then feel really. Then you see so much unbelievable depression, so much sadness. Then that other companion also pass away soon. So many times this happens. Like after father, passed away, then the other mother passed away, whatever. Then the other one, so you see, so upset, so depressed, so long, and then somehow they psychologically, I think somehow so unhappy, and then die soon. So that's also happens. That's and of course, if the mind is, of course, if the person is able to think, and able to, as I mentioned that, so the main thing is, there's so much self-cherishing thought. There's so much, you lost your happiness. When the person passed away, you lost your happiness. You see, kind of like that. You see. So I think, so the whole thing is centered. To the I. You see, happiness for this I. You see, so so like that. You see, so if the person definitely, if the person can change that person's mind, of course, rather everything centered to the I, everything focused to the I, if you can change to think of others, or even, as I just mentioned, they're helping that person who passed away, helping to do something good for that person. So even that brings so much joy in the life, I think can rather, think I then, you see, doing nothing for that person to benefit, nothing for the world, nothing to the person, nothing for yourself, and just only living life in depression and that lack of lack of education. It's all lack of education you see, the education of mind. So that. Education of good heart is a lack of that and practice. So, or in other words, you can say dharma. Another way of putting it. So what do I say? At the near Abdul's house where I live, so as we go to the beach, the others go say the people at the house they go caught up in because we have one dog called Omani Bemehung. His complete name Omani Bemehung. So to leave positive imprint on the mind all the time, but I think but unfortunately become shorter of money. So just become money, So it's shortened into money. So it's supposed to money be hung, but it become just money. Unfortunately, but still, money is generic name. You see, which grand jewel or the path, the method. You see, by my wisdom. Anyway, so what was it? So to take because of her existing there, so then to take the beach. So anyway, so one time we went to the beach, and to do the tata on the water, with the mantra, blessing the water, blessing the ocean, purify all this. So we had some drink. I don't know what it was. So sat around. Maybe French fries. French fries. French. Huh?
French fries.
French fries.
Yeah.
I think maybe French fries and Coke, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, huh? I think recently they changed the name from that, French fries. What's it? Oh, Freedom Prize. Oh, Tom knows very well. Anyway, so we were sitting, we choose one place, where your bench, we're sitting around. And then a lady came, and then we're sitting around drinking, talking. I don't think there was any geisha there. I think just our nuns there. Then a car came nearby and just stopped. And a lady came out and said, said her mother or somebody died, and she made this bench. She made this bench for her, for benefit of her. So she was very happy that we are using this bench at the beach. That we're sitting around, doing Coke and Freedom Prize or French Prize. So she was very happy. The scene, it just happened that by accident. You see, we were seeing that, and it happened that her coming to the beach with the car. So she explained what's family died, and this is what she meant for her, and so I thanked, and so I think probably we may have done meditation. I think, but I don't remember 100%. But I think we may have done prayer. So anyway, so I mean, like that is very good. If it's even just a small thing like that to help people, for the sake of that person, I think it's, well, I think this will be a sincere heart. I think this will be a sincere heart. That was done. I wouldn't think there's any expectation from that. So you see, for people's comfort, offering this bench, a table and a bench to sit around. To say, I think that that to give various ideas. I think it's very very beneficial to what people can do. suggest them what to help the family member who passed away. Here I'm talking about the non-believers or people who have other beliefs, other religions. Of course, as a Buddhist, there's so many things what you can do. There's so many incredible, unbelievable things what you can do. But those who are non-believers and who have other faith, you see, to have many variety ideas to get success. For them to something for the family passed away, so that the family, as I mentioned, that so that family can also they can enjoy it. They feel happy as doing something for that person or for the others. She's doing something very sincere from the heart, not with ego. That is, but not, of course, if possible, not get involved ego, reputation or gave this and did this, to get reputation, not like that. But something very sincere, to doing something benefit others. I think so that should anyway, that shouldn't be difficult. That you know that there are many ways that beneficial things can be done to others. So they say to help the sick people, who need medicine or who need things in the different countries. There's who need shelter, donating for that. Those who are homeless for shelter, and those who need food. See, countries with famine or refugees or to help. So. Building hospitals, or there are many things that help others. You see, benefits others. So many variety. If one can suggest that which are really needed for others, I think to expand. I'm just here mentioning just some seed, what you can do, but what the family member can do something I say, benefit others, benefit the world, and benefit to that person who passed away, see, for his, how his well-being. Of course, in the reality, the family member creates so much good karma. Cause of, say, they get a lot of profit in the cause of, they create a lot of good karma, merit, cause of happiness. So, quite a number of years ago, we met this, a thought came in my mind that, so they also in the book mentioned that when a person passed, well, immediate, see, inform, say, I'm not relating to those people they hear now, the non-believers or the having other faith or things like that. Here I'm not relating to them. That so as I mentioned in the advice, that immediately to you see. What the Tibetan they do, the scout money offering, then the person name, they offer to His Holiness Dalai Lama, like that. And if that person is guru, then to all the gurus, that person has connection with the person's gurus with whom one establishes Dharma connection. Then immediately the first thing is to them, to the scout money offering and the name of the person, and they're making a request, for Guru, but and cool achieve enlightenment, and as to purify all the negative karmas from begin, collected from beginners to birth. And through taking Guru's birth, then achieve enlightenment quickly. So this is the shortest, the request. What is the request? So that the first thing. So quite a number of years ago, that when you were a student passed away in this organization, so one is found out, then immediately to inform, to offer name to His Holiness with money offering. I don't know, it was $10 or I'm not sure, $7 or $10, something around anyway. So something that to dedicate that marriage to dedicate for the person. By offering something, then it's called ngowa. So, molam is a prayer, just prayer, but ngowa means some offering done, then that marriage you dedicate for that person. That's ngowa, dedication. So by having some substances in something, then you should have offer that the marriage dedicated for the for the person, for that person to not experience suffering, to achieve enlightenment quickly, so that system was started now many years ago. So if the name is given, student in the organization. Then if we found that if the name is given, sent, then and then as quick as possible that's offered to us. So this has been last quite a number of years ago. This has been done. So the reason I thought is, since we set up organization, the organization should be beneficial. If you set up organization, the organization should be beneficial to others, to other sentient beings, to the world. Including actions, works to benefit others. You see, including this, of course, the student, also has a practice Dharma, you see, and also many times, who did so much service, who did service at the center, at one of the meditation centers, did service, you see, worked very hard, dedicated life. So there are many like that. So however, when the person passes away, then of course, the organization should do something. That's the purpose. You see, to benefit others, the organization exists to benefit others, to help others. So, and this is the most crucial time. You see, to help. So the often to so normally so often to gurus, and then and then it is also where the precious holy objects, also with offering things like that. So. And in these days, now it's been quite some time ago. This one is not necessarily only a student, but anybody whose person passed away, whose name is given, sent to me. Then it's all listed up in a tsatsa. We have very beautiful tsatsa, workshop house, very nice, very nicely set up. It has been developed more and more at the time, and so very, very beautiful. You see, to make those very large, these very large stupas, and there's the larger than what here in Nalanda met. That's one very big one. One student who was a Vajrapani director, Vajrapani Institute in America, who was director for quite some time, John Schultz, who was very intelligent, who was very, also led courses, very dynamic. He was a movie writer. That was his job, making a movie writer. Anyway, so he asked me. He's one person asked me to do course on the liberation palm. He of course it's myself. Of course, I didn't forget. So he so he asked to do that. So he asked me a few times. He said the last time he told me, I met him in Los Angeles. He said, "Oh, my hair is getting more white, and when that I wish before I die to take this course, and my hair is getting whiter or something like that." That's what he said. So then I didn't see him after that. So he came to do a high retreat at Vajrapani most secret Haikyo retreat, which we did only once as a group so far. It was supposed to happen again, but happened just once at the Vajrapani. But that course really, I don't know why, but helped. That course, that retreat, helped many old students to really inspired. That somehow, I don't know, the blessing of the deity, it helped everybody to really get so much inspiration. Not so much doing practice before, and after that, very inspired and doing, much practice, strong practice after that. So anyway, he came to do that retreat. I think. Then what happened was, he came, I think 1 week or a few days earlier. Then he was not staying at Vajrapani, but he was staying down somewhere, one of the towns. So one little girl, one day, what's the name? I think what's the name? Not Ashley. What's Ashley's? Jackson's daughter. I thought what's her name? Ashley's wife. Not Shasta's. Oh, I see. I see. So John Jackson, who also did a director for Vajrapani for a long time, who was director for a long time, just before Amy, the nun Amy. So he's one of his daughter, John.
I think John's one of John's daughters, John Lendo's. One of John and Elaine's daughters. I think that was
Oh,
quite.
I see. Just it happened to go in the room. Next neighbor is John Shaw's house. So it happened to be going inside John's house. Then here, John was laying down on the floor, dead. You see, laying down on the floor. Maybe the head is maybe facing the altar. I don't know whatever happened, but she saw dead in the room, on the floor. Then I was somewhere else. I don't know where, another country. I think. Then invited one monk from Nepal who was there, happened to be there. Then I think he did. I think he did power. That, and he said, he said it's completely okay. You doesn't need to worry, something like that. So, what was I saying? Yeah. So. Yeah. So after he passed away, there's the Tom, the one old student, Vajrapani, who jobs carpenter, who worked for the house many times, built, expanded some part here and I think another person, I don't know his name, he makes also statues. Recently he finished Lama's statue for Vajrapani. I know his name. John? Not Bill. Maybe John Jackson also. So met this Kadamba stupa, but much bigger than what is here now. Quite big. And so for John's purification and for his well-being. What was talking? I've forgotten what was talking before.
Doing good deeds after the person's dead.
Only, I see.
Buddhist. Moa.
Not moa, ngoa. Not moa. Ngoa. That's one Tibetan word learning today. Molam. Molam is prayer. Ngoa is dedication.
People might have questions, I think.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So, just I think I mentioned one night that about that I mentioned a short time. I mentioned just short about the will. The living will, as making will much earlier before the death. If one has some, if one has belongings, whatever, then property or house or whatever, whatever you see, possession. So living to make it either it is a material possession that you earned for many years, from kindergarten up to university, with all the education, then found job, then earned money, and then bought property, whatever it is, money in bank or property, whatever it is. So you work so hard for this, with all these many years of education and all that, all is given by parents to you, whereas the parents work for us. Same story from kindergarten up to university, college, all these many years of education. Then they did so much of hard work, collected the money, and gave it to you. So either I was given to by somebody, or is it, you by working so hard for so many years and earned. However, so to make it. To not get wasted, to make it meaningful. Like that. So I mentioned that night that so one can plan well, and as it is mentioned in the 5 powers, as it mentioned, the 5 powers practice the 5 powers near the death time, and the first one is power white seed, karpo savinjito, white white the power of the seed, karpo savinjito. So, or the power of the white seed, the power of the white seed, karpo savinjito. So that is basically at the time of death, by letting go. Anyway, one thing is letting go, the most important practice at the time of death. There's one, attachment. The other one, the letting go attachment to to possessions, belongings, and family members, friends, children, all this. And there was some, including some body, that which was cherished most. So, so here, one purpose is letting go. Other one is to collect extensive merit at the time of death. See, so you either make offering to the group Dharma Sangha, or make charity by giving to sentient beings. You see, you to collect extensive merit like that. So, so that is the first one. Make yourself free. Make yourself free. Freeing yourself. So the first psychology, first technique. You see, the preparation for one. So that is the five. Say practice nearing the dead. The five power. So, so this becomes the first. Practice this becomes the practice of the first one. See, but so anyway, but anyway, by leaving the will earlier, then when suddenly death occurs, then it's already done. Work is already done, so there's no confusion. There's no problem with clinging, and also. As I mentioned, that it saves so much problem for the family members who are alive, creating so much negative karma for years and years, fighting each other over the money or over the possessions, or somebody taking away, or you see court cases with all that, anger and criticism, all that. So. So the other one is making holy as the monasteries building the place for Buddha Dharma Sangha, monasteries, temples, or the making holy objects, statues, to scriptures. So if you say, since there's a brochure, since there's a material, the brochure there's some essential benefit. There's some essential benefit. The benefits of making holy objects, they explain there some essential benefits. And there's a quite elaborate one recently I wrote in Tibetan. In the Tibetan there's nothing, so Marcel asked me to write something. At the beginning it was supposed to be short, but then it became very long. It became quite a number of pages. But I think this will be very beneficial, just my guess, because one abbot. After I finished this, I submitted to check through one abbot of monastery. Chaturmbache, who is the abbot of Namgyal Monastery. So I asked him to go through. Then he quickly read and sent. So afterwards I met Chaturmbache, and he said, because there's so much benefit explained, offering prostrations and all these circumambulations and from various texts, that by those incredible great lamas, from different great lamas, and from Buddha, basically from Buddha, then many other great lamas, pandits, you see, that they build many holy objects in different parts of the world. You see, huge, monasteries or many thousands of monks, or the statues, very large material statues, or is it general holy objects. So, So all the benefits of prostration, many things. So Sadhguru said, after he read this, then it really inspired him that he said when his holiness goes to stupa, even from where the road starts, where the road leads to temple, from there, to prostration to Buddha. But of course, I won't be able to do that. But Sadhguru said that by seeing this, the one that's put together in Tibetan, so it really inspired him so much that now he decided to go every day to stupa, to the prostration. So he was very happy. This is the really benefit making this available for Tibetans. You see. So anyway, I'm not going to mention that in that brochure. In English, there's some essence explained there. I don't mean for you to read so that you will get donated for media project. I'm not saying that. Just a part of the benefits, because to save the time, part of the essential benefit of the whole object. So by reading that, you can understand. So, however, that and one thing to build a stupa is very, very. I think somebody gave me a letter. Wanted to build a stupa in Switzerland, so I gave a long, so many purpose, very extensive purpose to build stupa and benefit. But still not finished. Still there's some more to edit. But this is to be given to anybody who wants to build stupa. Since time I receive, somebody wants to build stupa in Africa, which is extremely unbelievable beneficial. Asking for help. Anyway, so that is one very, very powerful thing. It purifies, of course, that person's so much need karma. So it liberates that person who passed away, family member passed away. Then the family member who are sponsoring this, who are sponsoring the stupa, it directs their life. And also, so much need karma of theirs get purified, and it directs their life towards enlightenment. The life goes towards enlightenment since from that time. So the stupa is built, and then and anybody is meaningful to behold. Anybody who is circumambulate, prostrate, make offering. Anybody who touch the stupa, all the need karmas get purified. Anybody who see from distance, their need karmas get purified, implying seed of enlightenment, which means realization of the whole path of enlightenment. Anybody who see from distance, and anybody who dreams of this, anybody who dreams of that stupa by seeing, who dreams of that, plant seed of enlightenment in their heart. So it's especially by having all these powerful mantras inside. So then that wind touches stupa, and the blessed goes away, purify insects, people, whomever touch, they alternate karma get purified. Wherever that wind touches the stupa, goes away. And rain comes, that touch the stupa, get blessed, then goes down. All the insects in the ground, they all get, then it comes, get purified, they get good rebirth. Any insects, any animals, flies, they go around stupa, and they all create a cause to achieve enlightenment. And by the way, liberation from samsara, happiness, future lives, all that. besides human being, even the insects, anybody who fly around and touch land on the stupa, you see, their negative karmas get purified. So it's an unbelievable, meaningful thing. So for the living people, the family member or anybody who sponsor, and then person who passed away, it's a very, very powerful thing to do. And also for sick people, somebody who's very, very sick, nothing can help. Also, this is a very powerful thing for healing and as well as long life for many things. So and once such a stupa statue, once it is built up, you see, it continuously does work for sentient beings. If you hold courses, if you hold meditation courses like that in the city, maybe 15 people, 10 people, or 60 people, 70 people, 100 something, you see, around like that. But you see, so not everybody come. But here, once you build a holy object, you see, once you build a holy object, you see, if it is built where many people can see, where many people go to see, many people can see from distance, from there, where like that. So every day, people and every day, so many people, who see the holy object from distance or near. There so many. Every day, so many. Hundreds of thousands people. You see, they need karma get purified and plant the seed of enlightenment. Plant the seed of enlightenment, which contains the realization of the whole path of enlightenment. You see, saves them from the lower realms, of sufferings, the immediate one, like that, and eventually by exploring the path of liberation from samsara. You see, so this holy object, without words, without saying anything, without words, the holy object actualizing in the world, it does work for sentient being every day, liberated sentient being naturally in silence. Believer, non-believer, whoever, even including insects, worms, flies, mosquitoes. So it benefits every day. You see, a liberated sentient being brings to enlightenment every day. You see, like that. For hundreds, thousands. How long this whole object exists? You see, hundreds of years, thousands of years. So incredible benefit. You see, then through this purification, through this purification and merits, collecting extended merits through the purification and merits, planting a seed on the consciousness. So then there's chance to change their mind. Then there's chance by purifying their mind, due to the power of the whole object, and which blocks defilement karma, which blocks to change the person's mind. You see, to develop good heart, love, and compassion, to do positive actions. You see, so you need to do some change in the mind for the sentient being to achieve temporary happiness, ultimate happiness, liberation, enlightenment. They have to exercise the path. So temporary happiness, they have to generate a positive mind, and positive, and then only then positive action happens. You see, so good karma. The the non-ignorance, non-anger, non-attachment. Then you see, then, so which is the virtuous thought, then virtuous action. This good karma comes. Then only then they can have a result of happiness. So therefore, so everything actually has to come from their mind. You see. So all the happiness what they're looking for. So therefore, so how to do that? See, so by existing that is whole objects, you see, then purify their mind by the power of the whole object, purify their mind, and collect a lot of so much merit. Plant seed of enlightenment. So then that you see, that causes gradually to change. You see, to change their mind and to generate all kinds of compassion. This is compassion, wisdom. You see, the whole path to liberation, to enlightenment, cease the developments, grow subtly, achieve full enlightenment. So that, and later, even the person say, even this life, which doesn't meet Dharma, but this will cause meeting Dharma later in other lives. So it depends how karma, how karma is strong. So this is the way how it brings peace, happiness in the world. You see, through change of their mind. But to do that, we have to purify the defilements, the negative karma, the obstacles have to purify, and they need to collect merit in order to change the mind. In order to develop a good heart, they need a lot of merit. So that's how the whole object brings peace and happiness in the world. You see. So benefit of all the sentient beings. So therefore, how many there are? How many whole objects is actualized in this world? And how many, and bigger, and how many? Then you see, more sentient beings get opportunity. You see, so where you don't need an explanation, just the seeing going around as tourists, they get so much benefit, so much purification. So that so here there's great benefit without words. Once you build it in this world, so how many thousands of years the whole object exists every day, liberate so many symptoms, bring them eventually to enlightenment, so like that. However, then also to help to spread Buddha Dharma, to offer possession, whatever one has, to dedicate more, to spread Buddha Dharma, the teachings, the precious teachings of Buddha, from where all the sentient beings' happiness comes. The teaching of Buddha, from where all the sentient beings receive their happiness, the only medicine that can heal cause of the sufferings of sentient beings. You see, so the negative karma, the delusions, the defilements, and then so for the teaching of the Buddha to spread, so that's, you see, dedicating for the educations in the monasteries, you see, to pass the Buddha Dharma, Buddhism, the monasteries where the nuns, monks, they learn, so to help them, so that they preserve the sanghas, they preserve, they learn, preserve, and then there's, you see, practice and the spread in the world. So this way it helps for all the sentient beings, helping for education, Dharma education, things like that. Then you see, for the I mean, the whatever the expenses for teachers or to happen this opportunity to teach, say, to pass the complete knowledge of the Dharma. So there's monks, nuns, that's their living cost or how all these things, you see. And then the other things, say, here, just an idea. For example, we haven't started yet the school, university education school, but we're preparing now the materials. So, for example, to help such school, you see, that which brings world peace. School which brings world peace. School which educates good heart and brings world peace. So that has practical great benefit to the world, solution to the world problems. So like that. So then you see, I'm just mentioning here the measure that I'm just giving an idea what can be done. You see, the measure things. Then as but in general, then what I mentioned before, the common people, non-believers, they may not social service, there are many things. So I think if you can make more list, you see, then I think it's very helpful. So something which they like, so they can dedicate to something which they like. You see, so that's also whatever. So whatever questions, maybe AC, maybe have. Anyway, okay, yeah.
You are near to somebody who is dying, to help them know that they are dying. If this is advisable for everybody, because sometimes maybe they don't want to hear that or what.
I think when people are ill, they're getting more and more ill, then they think something's wrong, and they question. I think a natural fear comes when you're getting more and more ill, that something's very wrong and I think I'm going to die. And I think then they need to be assured that what they're feeling is true, that they're dying. In some cultures, like the Indian culture, what I've seen in New Zealand, they don't want to tell the loved one, the old mother, that they're dying. And it makes it very difficult for the family and the patient, because the patient knows they're dying, but the family won't talk about it and wants to deny it. It's better if everything is nice and, honest as much as possible. Is that okay?
Mm.
So what do they experience when they actually die? Do they feel they fall asleep or they faint or what? Because they don't realize they're dying. So what do they do?
It's hard to know that because they didn't come back and tell me. Okay, the question is, I said that even when people are dying, they don't believe they're dying. So I think there's a lot of conflict. I think they think I'm dying, but then they think, oh, not really. It can't really be happening. Please don't let it really be happening. So there's I don't want to accept it, but I know it's happening.
I have a question. I was with a friend 1 month ago who died. She was a student.
she had cancer, she was on morphine. And it was difficult because she said... Maybe... Okay, yeah. This student, I was with her 1 month ago. She died from cancer, and she was on morphine. And it was difficult because she said she can't even think, So because we try to talk about Dharma. She was in a good state, but I found it quite frustrating because she couldn't even think. Yeah, that's the problem, you see, with the drugs, because they do affect the mind so amazingly. Like most people, even people, they don't usually take such drugs. And morphine is good because it takes away pain, but it does. It also weakens the body. I've noticed that. This is not medically accepted, okay, what I'm going to tell you, but it does something to the winds or something, because people who often go on morphine, then they die soon. They do need pain relief, because when your mind is totally absorbed in the pain, what happens actually when people have severe pain is that's a tremendous imprint on the mind. And so the next time they're given some pain relief, but the next time the pain starts to come, then they immediately project that it's going to be that bad, and they freak out. So that the pain is even stronger, even when it's not really that strong, because they expect it to be. So people really do need some pain relief, who don't have any meditation experience. They need pain relief in order to keep the mind kind of calm, so at least they can think something else besides, So then there's a balancing act between the too much morphine or too much pain relief, and their mind's so cloudy they feel like a fog, I just don't know what to think, I feel like I'm drunk. So it's very, very difficult to manage that. Very difficult. And there are some meditations for, to help with pain, relief. But you have to have some previous experience with meditating and some control over your mind for those techniques to work, really. And most people don't. So, I find that most patients are on pain relief.
Sorry. Be nice. I talk about lojong, but recently I had some stomach pain. I talk about lojong, blah, 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 blah. But I recently had some stomach pain. It started in Hong Kong, but then again kind of rises. But one night it's a little bit worse. Then I realized, not easy. Realized the lojong is not easy. That generally yes, it has incredible power. This Tonglen is unbelievable. If you have an eye pain, something like that, and sometimes even you actually don't do the practice, but you just about to do the practice, taking other sentient suffering, given what happens. Basically, mainly taking other sentient suffering. I'm experiencing the pain on behalf of all sentient beings. See, when you are say, even thinking about it, it stops the pain. Even when you are not actually start the practice, but actually even you are thinking about it, thought about that, even that sometimes stops pain. That and also sometimes pain. I think maybe sometimes I think cancer. So sometimes pain starts somewhere. Think maybe it's cancer because cancer is so famous. Yeah. So so well known. So anyway, then start to not strong practice, just I think it's just a sort of imitation, just I say, even just doing just just thinking to experience suffering by others. So pain starts somewhere, then it stops, like that. But of course, the lojong is not to stop the suffering. Then you have no opportunity to do lojong. Then you have no opportunity to continue. You have no opportunity to continue. You have no opportunity to purify the mind, correct extensive merit in every second. In every second, you see, when you take suffering to others, or when you experience suffering for the benefit of all, when you experience suffering of numberless other sentiments, you experience each time, in each second, numberless merit. Each time when you think that, you collect numberless merit. When you take others, when you give your happiness to others, see, numberless, because whom you give is numberless, so numberless merit. And of course, when you give, there's a body, there's all the past merit, present, future. So you see, whom you give is numberless. So many times numberless merit. Then there's all the result of happiness that you, after enlightenment, all the realizations you offer. Then there's all the possessions you offer. So there's whom you offer is numberless. So if you have ice cream, if you have ice cream. Or a piece of chocolate. So if you make charity to that's your possession, and you make charity to numberless sentient beings, you collect numberless merit out of that, from this piece of chocolate, or from this one fruit, or from this, small ball of ice cream. So, so you see, so if the pain is, whether it's a relationship problem or pains, whatever, stop other people criticizing or you see, battle treating, whatever. If it is stopped, then you don't have all this opportunity every second to collect limitless gas merit by taking and giving. Then every second to become closer to enlightenment, you see, and develop bodhicitta. So the lojong is to develop, one's mind, to develop one's mind to develop the two bodhicittas, to develop, not to stop, but to develop. See, developing path to enlightenment. So that's what the lojong is. Like that, you see. So eventually, then you seize the cause of the suffering, the delusion, even the negative imprints, subtle negative imprints get seized, you see. So that is okay. So what is that? What was wrong about this here? What was that before?
Pain, morphine.
Oh, it's okay. I have one sensation. Well, I think one sensation, that is this. If the person with so much pain, if that person accepts, agrees, there's a mantra. There's a very powerful mantra to recite, called Yangbe Tongje de Jubis Do. The sutra entering in the expansive city called, this is Buddha taught to Ananda. I think the Satya in India, the city called Satya or something. So I think they maybe spirit harms, and I don't know exactly. I don't remember. There's some so much disturbance is happening. So I think Buddha gave this Ananda to read at the door, at the gate of the to recite this at the gate of the city. Anyway, so somehow, I don't know, I kept this, I made a photocopy of this, and I kept this. I've been carrying for the last quite a number of years. I never got to use this. And there was there was one American, she's student, Diana, I think proper term knows. She lives on the way to Bajapani. She's from East, Chile, but not Chile, from Brazil, Chile, Argentina. She's from Argentina. So she had so much pain, but her life has been almost with pain, hospitals. Whole life has been like that. And anyway, so I thought somehow thought of this prayer came in my mind, and did to my Mickey Mouse more, and then it seems came out beneficial. So went there with the text, with the Kapan monk, was the first Lama Juba from Kapan, from they're the first group, he's from the first group, Lama Juba, who studied everything, all the chantings, the protectors, or the consecration, extensive consecration, this Guya Samajayamata, all this 7 initiation, chanting, playing symbol, everything, sand mandala erecting up with wood, the building, constructing mandala, the one who learned everything. So he was invited there at the house to live there, to write the present Paramita, the Buddha's teaching, purpose of wisdom, for to put it in material Buddha's heart, the statue, at the heart, inside the heart of the statue, like this, to pile it up, then have water bowls around, light open, so that people can see the original with gold, different jewels, so they can rejoice and do prostration like that, and also collect, unmeasurable limited skies for merit. So for the successful media project, so we started this. I still didn't finish the one 8,000 stanza. Still didn't finish. So anyway, but the Diamond Cutter Sutra is finished with this with the gold, done with gold, and also I think silver. Done with the gold. That's finished by the Chandler, who has been translating for many centuries, and they built the Tibet nunnery and the Kapan nunnery. So anyway, with him we went. Then I recited this for her, Diana, who has so much pain. I recited, and I was doing blessing the water, and while during that time I let him to recite. So anyway, then her pain stopped. Stopped for a long time. For a long time, that very unbearable pain was stopped for a long time. For quite some time. Then one time, then again it happened. Then she was in the hospital. So I had operation. But the doctors could not tell exactly, why she has pain. Could not tell. So anyway, she had operation, and then so I went to see her in the hospital, and recited this prayer, recited this mantra, and recorded it in the tape, so she can listen. So during that time, she was as soon as we this is of course Buddha's blessing. Buddha's, this came from Guru Buddha. This is Buddha's blessing, Buddha's power. while I was reciting this, her face totally changed. You see, happy, bright. So, during that duration, the whole body certainly changed from that previous one pile and the kind of not happy or you see like that. So anyway, then I think I don't know after so it was stopped. I don't know how long it was stopped. I think before much longer. Then I think maybe 2 days or I'm not sure. Then she one morning she had so much pain, tears coming out, so much pain. She made him to scream. So so then she remembered the tape that I made. So she played it. So the nurse came with the morphine. Nurse came with the drugs. You see, but that's only what you can do in the hospital. See. So nurse came with the drugs. But then she remembered immediately the tape. She played the tape. So then the incredible pain completely stopped. Completely stopped. Then the nurse said, this is what she told me. The nurse said, incredible. That's what she said. Nurse, incredible. Then, but Diana is not ordinary per se. I mean, she's a very good-hearted person, extremely good-hearted person, always giving person, always giving. So also, of course, the Tantric College able to possess other connections, different monasteries, the Geshe Taba came and many other the lamas came to see her in the hospital, and so then all the nurses then talked to each other about her. Then they all got interested in meditation. So so I and also nun at the house, Munsal, I think mentioned the one who does everyday tzatsa, those for people died. They Mitupa and Stupa. She already made her own preliminary practice, 300,000 tzatsa. She did before she came to the house. Then she been doing, besides all those water bowl offerings, then she wrote those tzatsa besides her own practice. So she was abbess. She was American, but the abbess of Chinese nunnery. So she speaks Chinese well. Knows very well about how the nunnery functions. So yeah, but this one need. I didn't. She used to have pain at the back, but before it didn't come out in the definition. So one day it came out. So I chanted this. I was living for Florida. Chanted this, and she says anyway, these are comments. She said amazing that see the pain stopped. It got better. So maybe sometimes there may be right time, maybe, but I didn't try. When it didn't come in observation, I did not try to read. So I don't know what is something that you can any time to read, or that I cannot say. I didn't try, but so because it's so beneficial, so I added this mantra, another mantra, very powerful for purification. Two other mantra I added. One that was extremely. I said one of which is fulfilling all the wishes, and that one is extremely secret, which is in English incredible benefits. That the mantra which comes there, which I said that I wrote to help the person who's dying to look at, to have next to. So say that, and then don't remember particular. There are two other mantras than that. Then there's Buddha's words for healing, auspicious prayer for healing sicknesses. So even you don't have power or you don't have any from your side anything to to help to heal the person, but because Buddha's compassion to sentient beings and perfect power, you see the perfect understanding. So the truth and Buddha's say truth of the words, Buddha's holy words. So see, it can help. So the last one is this. So the idea is to make the tape available. Anybody who want, especially people who have so much pain and maybe people who work in the hospitals, like that. So if the other person allows, to do that, really looking for solution, and the other person accepts, allows that, they want to play. So this text can be read. You don't have to go actually next to the person. What you can do is you can at the door of the hospital. You see, just in the door, the downstairs. There you can read. There you can do this prayer. You don't need to do it at the bed, next to the bed of the person. See, so you can dedicate for everybody in the hospital. See, you can read there. Anybody who has pain, you see, you can do that. So actually, this is seems to be done like that. But of course, we can do to individual persons. So that that is one solution. But of course, the other person, has to accept. Maybe you can say this is music. You can say this is song rather saying this is Buddhist prayer. Blah blah blah. You can just put another title. And then also if you have music, if you have nice music, very soothing music behind the prayer, then you see very easy for the person, you see something to enjoy, so entertainment, you see, like that. So there's this. The Gautama Geshes, they advise what is pain. You visualize M in the hollow, and then hollow, M like a hole in the body, that part of hole, and then visualize syllable letter R in that. You see, so I guess, if you're able to think, I guess the R, as I mentioned before, some time ago, that's the one teaching of the the one syllable of the Buddha's teaching, professional wisdom. See, and that everything, the whole essence of the whole entire Buddha is the teachings on the professional wisdom, which has 12 volume, then 3 volume, 1 volume, 8,000 stanza, then the Heart Sutra, then this Lama Tombachun Tishipanju Shakatuvala Chata to Munumuna Maman. So this few syllables, the professional wisdom, the few syllables. Then the professional wisdom, one syllables are. So it said to visualize here, I guess maybe you can think in nature of bliss, the I guess sort of. It didn't say, but I'm just making it up, from the R, kind of light radiant comes healing. You see, so that's those especially working in the hospital or you're dealing with people who are sick. Then this what I would suggest for who have so much pain. As I mentioned earlier, you see, if you are doing 10 malas or manipimehung every day, generating one self-cherishing every time 10 malas every day. See, as I mentioned at the very beginning, now here a person who, like a child, or child whom you cannot, consult, and a very, very old person who can't think, child who can't think, very, very old person can't think, or due to drugs, whatever, all these things, So then, how to help? Them? There's no way to help by consulting them. So the other, those ones then, not by, you can't help by talking. Then they can be helped by relying upon external things, external power of external things. So, like you see, can't do consultation, can't give meditation. You see, unless you do meditation, one thing is you do the meditation for them. That's one thing that can help. You see, or that can for everybody. Whom you can talk, whom you can't talk. So you see, to help them, that. So generally speaking, then you see, like blessed water that you, that you bless, when you do your commitments. When you do your commitments, you can bless. While you're doing your commitments, you can bless the water. To blow up this mala, you blow off the water, or visualize generously, whichever deity you're meditation with. So you see, like Semester, they practice, during the self-initiation or in the practice of Tantra, you see, blessing the vase. So same. So you bring that idea there. You see, how you visualize deity, then mantra at the heart, you see, in the vase or on the vase. So from the holy body, nectar absorbs the water. You can blow up this mala on the water, but also nectar comes from. Then you see, bless the water. Then at the end you make strong request, to immediately be able to heal, not only heal sickness, but very important to purify the karma and all the development immediately, and immediately to actualize, loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, and the heart, in the whole path of enlightenment. So that they say, not only pray just to get better the sickness, then that's nothing. Because then what the person is going to do after the sickness, after the person has recovered, what she was going to do? Again, create new karma. You see, use the life again to create the cause of sicknesses, create new karma. So therefore, you see, just getting recovered. Of course, it's good. Of course, the person really need that. Of course, but what boost the healthy? Because it didn't have sicknesses, no cancer, no pain. So you see, without meeting Dharma, without knowing Dharma, what the person is going to do with their life, nothing special. Again, create the cause of cancer, create the cause of sicknesses. You see, there's no change in mind, no change in action. So, therefore, very important to pray, not just better sickness. You see, to purify the karma development and actualize bodhicitta and the whole path of enlightenment, to achieve enlightenment spiritual. See, that's very important. You see, otherwise it's the same as before, nothing. And after having done the operation, after having spent all these expenses, life is still the same. It's nothing better than mind or action, you see. So anyway, So then the deity absorbed in the water, after strong water. Then every tiny drop of water, so powerful. Just taking a drop immediately purify the sicknesses, spirit harm, negative karma, defilement. These 4 things complete purified. So generous strong faith. And then when you give the water, give it with strong faith. So more faith you have, things that you're giving to others, more faith you have, there's more power. It carries more power. So power comes from your mind. You see, so faith is so, and also the other person too. Power is created by that. So then, more faith you have, it carries more power. So benefits, it can benefit, purify the mind, to heal the sicknesses and purify the mind. So water, you see, cream or butter, if it's outside the infection or something. Anyway, that medicine doesn't help, especially there's no medicine that helps. If it's something like that, you see, it doesn't cover, then those things, then on a mantra, through meditation, then can heal. And sometimes there's some sicknesses that person without purifying the karma, without doing some strong practice from the side of the person, without doing that, nothing can change. The person have to experience the karma. How many years takes time? You see, whole life. You see, without doing something from the side of the person, cannot. Nobody can do it. So sometimes there are cases like that. So not everything that you can miracle say, not miracle say. You see, not everything by medicine, not everything even by healing. For example, the healers, even though they can do miracle things, but they can't do miracle to everybody. So that shows karma. You see, the Chinese person from China who gives talk, and then in the front, in the audience, there are people, you see, who are limbed, and there are all kinds of people sitting there. And he doesn't, they just sit there, he doesn't blow anything. After, just being there, just being there half hour, 1 or something, I don't think whole night. Anyway, so anyway, so just sitting there in front of the person, they could just get healed, just get recovered, just by meeting person who are unable to work for 30, 40 years, on a wheelchair, and meet the person able to stand up. But it doesn't mean for everybody. There's some people cannot, doesn't work. You see, that shows a very heavy karma. That means there's a very heavy karma from that person. You see, like that. So, those who are taken, so old and young, those who cannot, one cannot communicate. So through external, through these things, and from your side doing meditation, like as I grant the blessed water, like that, through other, through external powers, then this is how you help, how you heal them, like that, not by talking. The other things, of course, if they can hear, then chant the mantra in the ear, or you can chant the mantra not as a song. You see, if it's complicated, then you chant mantra, but as a song. You see, sing a song, so nobody will stop. Maybe except the person who's very depressed, or the person, who's very bad tempered. Maybe I don't know. Even they might like song anyways. So there are the ways. So those people, through external methods, you can help. So whatever you can, whatever you know, whatever you can, you see like that, and some may not. Anyway, some may not get recovered, some may get recovered. So like that. The other things, as I mentioned, the beginning during the initiation. As I mentioned during initiation, if you are say for example, chanting like that 10 miles a day like that, and do meditation recitation, visualize oneself also chanting like that. You say, I have done Nyungness like that. So normally it's very good to do Nyungness as many as possible. So that's very good. So then here in this case, you see person is so much pain, morphine, all these things, but you can't communicate anything. So what you do? So how are you going to help that? How are you going to help that person? Is you see, so just that person seeing you, then they come and get purified. And when the person hold you, touch you, you touch the person they come and get purified. You see, defilements, they come and get purified, and that helps the person to have good rebirth. So this is the most important help. Purifying the karma is the most important help. The cause of the suffering. You see, like that. When you touch the person, receive blessings. Because whole your body is a relic, it carries blessing. By visualizing yourself chanting and reciting mantra, and by doing Nyungness, you see, as many Nyungness you have done, they're much more powerful. Your whole being, you see. Anybody who see you, touch you, remember you, so everything is meaningful. Wherever you see, in the airport or train stations, wherever there is a mess, the people, or office, or restaurant, or the supermarket departments, or whatever they see you, it's so meaningful. You become so meaningful to them. Meaningful to behold. Meaningful by seeing, by touching, by remembering, by talking. See, so like that. You see, so that is what we should keep in mind, in the heart. So there's incredible benefit. You see, if we just go for a walk, where there are people just walk around, you see, with that understanding, benefits of Nyungne, and it's doing the Chinese practice. So like that. So this is what we should keep in mind. So then, you see, still there's something that can help, but help which is very important, purifying the mind. It's like that. There was one question. About death. What is thought? That's correct. Many times is correct. Many times that you see, talking, telling that person, that is going to happen to you. You see, many times, telling the person, you see, it help. It's helpful. Here, what I want to say is this. Now, after you mention the death, you need to say something. If you don't, you need to say something. You need to say the antidote. You need to mention the medicine. You see, once you mention the word death, which fears the other person, you need to say something after that. You can't just leave it. You can't just leave that. Then you say other person, it's only if that person, you see, state of mind by hearing death. Anyway, if it's a person, if it is a person, you see, who gets scared of death. Not necessarily everybody gets scared of death. There are many people who don't get scared of death. Many people who don't get scared of death, who doesn't mind, who doesn't bother the death. Again, there are many people, as I mentioned another time, who live a very sincere life, very ethical life, and especially those who have good-hearted and very kind, generous life. You see, they're not scared of death. You see, death doesn't bother to them. There's nothing important doesn't bother to them. They have full confidence in their heart, even they don't know, future life what they're going to report, but they have full confidence. Something good things are going to happen. So so it depends on the other person whether. So the other person, if it's a type of person, or we see, of course, generally who lived the opposite life than sincere, opposite to a sincere ethical life, kind, good-hearted person, opposite to that. Then, of course, you live life with a very selfish mind and especially very bad tempered, that. I did a lot of, harms others, oneself, unethical life, unethical actions, non-virtuous actions. Of course, then there's guilt and all that things. Then immediately the person will be so scared, but as soon as the person hears death. So once you mention death, then you have to. Then you should mention. You see, the how to letting go and the how to think. You have to give them. You have to say. You have to explain the person what to do. You have to explain the person what to do. That I think as he told that the one person that was dying then was so much it's a problem then, and I've been mentioning in the heaven there's in the heaven what is in the heaven there's better what
better tulips than flowers.
Better tulips. There is mentioned to the person there are better tulips and I think it must be Holland people, I think. So there are better tulips. There are better tulips, in the heaven. So, certain person very peacefully passed away. So, like that, saying you mentioned one easy name of Pure Land. Say Tushita or Shambhala or some particular name which Pure Land exists. I met up Pure Land something. Then you say there are many wonderful friends who love who love it so much. So anyway, depending on that person's interest. So like the monk who attached to the butter, Tibetan tea, the butter. You see. And then after, as soon as he heard there's a butter tea, there's a butter shop, they left off a butter in the bowl, you see, in the tushita. Then he was able to shoot his conscience very easily, immediately went tushita. So like that, you see. So by using your own intelligence that time, dependent person, then you see like that, but say, whatever the person is interested, if it's enjoyment or music or whatever, you see, I think that's much better. So like that. So anyway, by using wisdom, of course, compassion. Then by using wisdom, then give advice. That is going to happen, and what you say. Say what to think, in other words, how to enjoy the death. Advise how to enjoy the death. So like that, and there's no need to worry at all. No need to be afraid. There's a much better world to go. You see, where there's no suffering, where there's no suffering, where there's no problem at all. So emphasize that. So. So those people have fear. See, so what I think is after you mention the word death, you need to say something what to do. So otherwise what happens? Then the person has a great fear, state of fear, and then become worse. So see mental state. So like that. So I think. Yeah, go on, yes.
She asked why some old people who is going to die, they say that the days before or the months before that they are going to die, kind of all relatives that has already died come near to the bed. Why happened this? You understand? That some...
they come back in their body.
No, they dream with them, or they see all all friends or relatives that already have died.
Yeah.
They see in the night, and they are calling them, "Come, please come." You understand?
Yeah. But the people is calling us. saying to come out. That he would like to offer dance. Anyway. Yeah, they there are different things. See, these are all friends or the family members? See. These things that they died and born as spirits. The family members died and born as spirits, pretas, born as spirits. Yeah. So also like that possible. Then attach the family or the property. Then they kind of live there. Things like that. Or also there it is different parts of the world. Chinese, there's so much happening in Chinese. Also in Tibet, or the Himalayan ridge. Maybe also in the. I'm sure same must be in the West. That they enter. Say, you see, the person become medium, talks about the person who passed away, family member who passed away, explains that, talks about that person's, as if he or she is that was entered that person's body as that person. Then tells the family member, or husband or wife, whoever, say, "Oh, you didn't treat me. You did this. You did that. You did this. You did this." Like that. But telling some story which is correct of the person. that I need this, I need, you should give me this, you should give me that, the material possessions that belong to the other person. So there's quite a lot of that also. So now here, I think here probably this is not the problem here, but in Chinese, among Chinese or in Tibet, also Himalayan region, Nepal, I'm sure there might be in the West. I'm sure that also happens. But this is not only Eastern thing. So ask for so much money and ask for so much to give to the family members. So so these things. I don't think you have this question, but I just along with that, I just brought up this. Talking about spirits, you see. So this is not the actual person who died and take this body and talking to it. It's not. This is not that person. This is spirit. So when we are born, there's two. There's sentient beings. When we are born, there's I forgot name. One is black, one is white. When we do more virtue, the white deva helps support. When we do more virtue to for success. When we do more negative karma, the black deva is become more powerful. The black deva become more powerful. Then you see it harms you. So this happens from birth time. They exist from birth time in the whole life. So when you die, you see. So this black deva, this is the one that enters other person's body and act like as yourself. Then you see, harm the family members and ask them for a lot of wealth and money to give, otherwise it's going to harm this. So that it is in the teaching that is not. But in the Chinese society, they believe so much. There's so much of this, and they believe, and they actually give. They think there's a real person talking to them, that family member. See? So there are a lot of that. I think Rene did retreat. Swiss? This mountain? This high mountain where Rene did retreat 1 year. So so he was doing prostration. While he was doing prostration, there were two spirit, one man, one female, right? Two spirits are watching at him through the window while he's doing prostration. They're watching, and he was meditating. Then there's a wall behind, you see. Then they banged from the wall like this. He was meditating, so he was meditating here. So the spirit's backside, the banging, So they can't really do much to him, I think. But if your refuge, faith to the Dharma Sangha is not strong, like this, and then Samaya vows not good, then they can harm. Because of that, they can harm, and you receive harm from them. And when your fortunes, when your good karma, if your merit is low, then you receive harm, many catastrophe, inauspicious things, many strange things you want to experience. But if your merit is very high, your samaya vows good, merit is high, then they cannot harm. So anyway, so when they also try to stop your water, right? So he has water, comes in the room from the mountain in the plastic pipe. So then this come from somewhere. So the spirits, they try to stop his water by covering dust, covering earth, right? Huh? Yeah. So he went. There's no water, so he went to check. So covered the earth. You see, there's no people around, right? There's no people around that living there. So they try to, what they can, try to say, enlighten, Okay. So I think what's time now? 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. And 장주 심조를 뭐지 맞게 와는 뒤 자완년 밤에 봐. 공내 공도 배워. These are all the past penvision about this. Carrera, Gurve, Shingam, the dependent, the Wamaluch, Ceres, Tinjin, Jazo, Ishabe, Side, Bado, Danger, J, Bandelame, Kuze, Tambadan, Kanyam, Yangla, the Jishua, La Gemalu, Sosa, Dipjan, New Dozanje, Dovara Jinji. These are all the past penvision collected by about this. And that which are empty from its own side. May the eye, who is also empty from its own side. achieve Myo's enlightenment, which is also empty from its own side. Lead all the sentient beings who are empty from their own side to that enlightenment, which Myo's enlightenment was also empty from its own side. By myself alone was also empty from its own side. I dedicate all the merits to be able to follow Holy Extended Buddhist Samadhamata and Zugosh as they realize. I dedicate all the merits to be able to follow. In the same way as 3 times Buddha Bodhisattvas dedicate their merits. And general teaching Buddha Buddha, particular teaching Lama Tsongkhapa, may be spread in all the directions, be flourished wherever in this world, from where all the significant happiness comes. The only source, only medicine, by completely exercising that with one's heart, and in the heart of one's family members, all of us here, all the student benefactors in this organization, and those who give up their life to the organization doing service to the senior meditation, but in all of our hearts, without delaying a second. Shuji Jabo Zonga Vejudo number Bevada Gajama Jivada Tunjim, Lutzamara Shuan Dada Jinga Davidson and Javalo Zanda Temba Yurin Banjo. So it's very good education. Thank EC, very good education for helping the dying, as well as for the mind, for our mind as well as others' mind. So it's very good. It'll be very good. It will be very good where there are hospitals projects or the people doing looking after dying people. Then what kind of situation, what kind of advice worked? It would be good to put together. It would be good to put together and to make a book. That would be very good. It helps many people, and especially there are going to be more and more hospice work. It'll help them very much to get more. They can learn, various ideas. They get more ideas. Of course, in Dharma, there's nothing missing. But and the books that which contain advice, the death and dying, there might be things which are not there, and that people who are actually doing work and develop experiences and things which they're taught, from their compassion, from their wisdom, what they're taught, that worked, that brought peace, happiness to people, happy death. So valuable advices. So that people that the students have in the organization who have been looking after dying people, so that can be very useful. With that, so thank you very much. Yeah.
Next session, 7:30. 7h30 la prochaine session.